for watching my video. I thought it would be a really great opportunity to talk with you more about my theory, which all E5 programming is based off of, and then a little bit of background of how I developed this theory. So I've spent about 17 years in the helping professions. 8 of that was through my own private practice, and I was a mental health clinician. I have a master's degree in counseling, a bachelor's degree in psychology, studied philosophy, religions, sociology, really fascinated with the human mind, anything and everything that has to do with motives, behaviors, why we do what we do. And most people that get in the field of psychology also do it because they're searching for something. So was I, and I found it. So that being said, over the last 3 years, after I accessed consciousness, I began doing what I would call consulting instead of counseling, as I began to see things differently, in a more conceptual way, contextual way, energetic way. I started to notice that I felt as though I was feeding the stories of my clients with them, allowing them to stay stuck on a horizontal plane, not realizing it was like energy coming from my mind to my mouth and out. And I started to see things this way, knowing that our words and our thoughts are really energies that are just being relayed. And I was like, well, that's interesting. I mean, we as human beings, we have 2 motives. One is survival, and then the other one is oneness. And once we open up our eyes to that we're already here and we're already one, then it's really just about survival, helping our bodies align with what I would call spirit or energy or source. And some people have a very intense energy and they don't know how to move it, or they tend to be more sensitive than others. So what happens is we get stuck. And we get stuck and then we try to get out. And the only way we know how to get out is through our mind. And we begin to look up information and feed our minds full of more information, creating more of a web in a way that traps us. The only way out of the maze is to rise above the maze. So if I'm seeing things on energetic levels, and I've noticed that we're stuck on a level, why would we continue to do the same things that we have done over and over and over again? Now, we've all heard about mindfulness and stilling the mind, which makes complete sense. However, why would we want to still the mind in an energy that doesn't feel good? And then we all have heard of energy and motion is just emotion. So emotion is energy in motion. Lots of you probably believe that emotions aren't real and we have choice over them, which is true. That being said, we have energy in motion that's emotion, and then we have a mind that wants to be still. So our emotions want to move and our mind that wants to be still. And how is this making sense and what do we want to do with it? It's funny because when we look up things about enlightenment or consciousness, we see someone sitting there, like really kind of sitting in this space. And they're stilling their mind and they're like holding this space for themselves and they're completely still. And they can get stuck there forever. I know I can. And the way out of that space is through movement and movement of our body. Honoring our body, honoring our mind. But how many of us talk badly to those parts of ourselves? And we do it over and over again. Think about how disruptive this is to our world and us. So think about it like this. We have our body that is a primal system. So our body just wants to feel. And it has energy that runs through it that we call emotions on this basic level. Later it becomes energy. Later it becomes information. So we just have emotions on this plane, okay? Our body feels these emotions and it wants to move. And then we have our mind over here. And our mind is basically like this complex system that wants to relay information, okay? And your mind wants to be fed on language. It wants to be fed on thoughts. It wants to be fed on constructs. Now, your body's main job is to survive. Now, it will store information and it wants to relay messages to you, such as pain, okay? So your body will relay those messages as it's storing and wanting to move information, energy. Your mind wants to move energy too, and the way it does that is by thinking. Now, your mind will think things about your body, and your body's like, hey, I just want to move some energy. And your mind is like, let me show you how to do that. And body's like, you don't know anything about my system. Mind is like, I know everything about your system. I created that system. Now, it's interesting because these 2 parts of you aren't in communication. And what we do is we start to belittle either the mind or belittle the body. But it's really about honoring the body and honoring the mind and opening up communication with those parts. Now, every single body is different and every single mind is different. And this is where things get really, really fun. Energy's all the same. It's just moving. So in order for us to actually truly move energy, we don't want to sit with it. We don't want to sit in it. We want to embrace it and move it. And this can be a 90-second process. It is really about the transfer of energy from one thing to another. It is our mind's capabilities or limitations that does not allow us to move it in the way we want to or know how. Half the time, most of the stuff that we feel isn't even ours, but we and our ego really wants to make it our own. We want to stand out. We want to be different. Which brings me to the other part of the theory. Human beings, we have rules. We have some regulations we want to follow. And one of those is in this basic place, we want to be validated. And the way we have known to be validated is through our words and our experiences, such as, I'm sad, let me tell you my sad story. And then person B over here says, oh, I've been there. I feel for you. My words feel nothing for you. My words are words and language that feeds the mind. My heart feels for you. You feel the energy of it. The embrace. It is not through my words that you feel me. It is through my experience that you feel me. Our mind has a limitation about being able to paint a picture of a real, true experience. It's interesting because we all know this. We all know this. But we're just missing these little tiny pieces to make it make sense. We're missing the part about moving our energy so we can raise our vibration. And as we pull energies in, picture it like this, we're on this horizontal plane, okay? And we're feeling and we're discussing energies. And we're basically, our body feels an energy such as sad. We label it as sad. Our mind goes, oh, you must be sad, do these things. And then that goes right back into our body. So we're constantly feeding this loop in just us, in this physical being on this plane. Now, what would it look like if we grabbed information from here, pulled it through, right? And then as we are slowly transmuting the energy, what happens is we bring it in and it allows us to move, almost like swimming upwards. So it's the transfer and transmuting of energy that allows us to still the mind. And as you begin to know how to move your energy differently, we can literally just calm the mind at the same time, but we have to do that by honoring the mind and then honoring the body. And then later, it's about opening the heart. As we know, vulnerability, shame, really being transparent is the way of the future. And it's the way of the future because we, as energetic beings, we're going to be completely exposed. Everyone will know everything about us. Why not just show it? It's only our ego that wants to attach to shame to hold our bodies here. As every single time we attach to a shame story or any type of energy, it gets stored in our physical body. Think about this. At the age of 2, 3, when you started to cry and you were hurt, you were embraced by a caregiver. The second you were embraced by that caregiver, a human physical form covered you with what you thought of as love and told you to contain that energy and hold it in your physical body. Because that has no business here. Because if my son is still crying, that is a direct reflection on my parenting, right? And if you don't know how to control your emotions, that's a direct reflection on you as a character. So our ego really wants to hold on to these things and it gets stored in our body. Our tears are made up of cortisol, a stress hormone. So as we release and shed, we are literally pulling energies from our body. But who would you be if you didn't hold on to pain? And who would you be if you didn't hold on to self? And who would you be if you didn't hold on to beliefs or values? Who would you be if you realized everything you felt wasn't even yours? There's so many ways that we can look at this scenario and paint a picture that really challenges our mind to break out of a box, to unwind a maze. And it's through the unraveling of the mind with ease, with communication, with honor, that allows our bodies to be at ease with communication and honor. so our bodies can feel and move the energies that it needs to, and our mind can be still and calm as we access what we already know, which is consciousness. For more information on my theory, go to my website, jocelynhealing.com. All E5 programming is built on this theory, so we can teach you how to move your energy different, embrace you, evolve, and enhance your life. Because this is an evolved time in an evolved world, and we want to help you access consciousness. Thank you.